YouTube. I just have some thoughts on my mind that I don't know, I just want to share and sort of try to discuss it with myself while I'm sitting here, filming this. And that is, why is learning made so boring? Why are there so many people who just don't like school? And like, why is the school system like boring? Why, like, there should be, like, I just feel like there's something wrong with the system. Like, there should be, like, in the IB we have this subject called theory of knowledge. I discussed it in a video, or I talked about what it is, and it's basically, it teaches you to actually reflect upon what you learned, like, not just to passively absorb information, which we are mostly, from a young age, we're just taught to accept that is true. Like, when we learn stuff at school, it's just, you just need to memorize things, and that's basic. I think that's why, learning is made boring from first grade in school. It's like, just learn this. You just need to learn this. Don't ask questions. Just learn it. Like, we're not, people who ask questions aren't given credit for asking questions. They're just, ridiculed. They're just ignored. Like, why are you asking questions? Why, that's stupid. Why are you asking questions? It's just the way it is. Like, just accept it. And that is, I think that's essentially what is wrong, is that we aren't taught to question things, and once you start questioning things, you start becoming curious in things, and once you start developing curiosity for a subject, or for anything really, things start becoming more interesting. And I don't know if it's the subject TOK that made me interested in learning, or if it's just generally me because I had an awakening and so on and so forth. But, like, there is something wrong here, because most people don't like school. Like, a lot of people don't like school, and it's not that I love school. Like, I don't like getting up early in the morning. I do have bad days, but all in all, I see that school is really beneficial. Like, there's a lot of benefits with school, but I think that's because I am able to reflect so much upon it. Like, I got friends at school. I probably wouldn't have had the friends I have if I hadn't gone to school. I wouldn't, actually. And it's a path that leads you to some sort of success if you continue going to school, like, and learning it enlightens you, it makes you think about stuff. But the type of learning we're taught from an early age, as I just said, is passive learning. Like, it's just remember things, and the people who are able to remember things, the people who can cram for tests, are the people who end up, ruling our society, the people who end up governing the world, essentially, because these are the people who get the best grades, because the grades we get are based on what we are able to memorize. And some people are really intelligent, they're pretty smart, but they are not good at cramming. They do not read much. Like, they do not read, like, they are intelligent, they just don't put in much effort to memorize stuff, because memorizing things isn't interesting. It's not fun for us to memorize stuff. I think that we need to start questioning things, and I think that essentially every school program should have some subject similar to TOK, and this is not necessarily promoting TOK, but just promoting curiosity and promoting passion for learning. Like, somehow in the system, in the world around, I'm not just bashing on the Norwegian system or anything, and not just promoting the IB system, I'm just saying that most school systems don't have that subject that sort of embraces knowledge and, like, makes you wonder about things and question. And, once us as human beings, as I just said earlier, I'm just repeating myself, like, once we ask questions and look at different sides and reflect upon subjects and facts and stuff, we find more things that might be interesting. Like, we start questioning things, like we're talking about history in TOK right now, and we're talking about how do we really know things in history, and looking at the methods of knowing things. And when we look at these methods, some people may be kind of fascinated of how we're able to find out these things. Like, when you look at ancient history, how we've gathered these gadgets and things and methods to find out things about ancient history. And the more you look into things, the more interesting they get, and you aren't really looking into things when you're just taught to memorize things. You read, when you read for a test in a system where you're only meant to memorize things, you're only looking to memorize it. You're not actually looking to learning it. Like, most people just cram for exams, and the thing is that is actually possible, especially in the Norwegian system, because you only get like one, 2, 3 exams or whatever at the end of the year. Like, it's random how many you get and what subject you get in, and it is actually possible to just cram for these exams, because you're not required to remember, you're not required to reflect. Like, again, I'm not necessarily promoting only the IB, but in the IB we're taught to reflect. Like in history, we're not just taught to remember the year and stuff, we're taught why. It's once you go over to why that things become more interesting. Like in history, we question a lot, mostly actually, why. We need to know the causes for the war, we need to know practices, which is what happens in the wars, and then effects of the wars, and then sort of like why. We have discussions on why. Almost in every subject is like, why is it like this? Like, and in most school systems, learning isn't even really learning, it's just memorizing. Like, what's the fun in that? Like, what use is that memorizing things? And often when we memorize things, we just passively memorize it, so it's only information we're taking in. We're not even going into knowledge, it's just information. Like, if you ask your parents if they remember stuff they had for a long time ago at school, they won't remember it, because all they did was cram for the tests. They didn't actually learn stuff. And I think that's why learning is made so boring, because they're not even learning, they're just memorizing things. They're just passively taking in information and not even making it into knowledge. And the difference between information and knowledge, the difference between information and knowledge is that knowledge is something that you just sort of know. When you take in information, it's just something that you've memorized. Like, of course, the knowledge you have is something you remember, but you have a broader look upon it, and like, people don't get to see this passion of learning that I have, because at school it's just boring. Like, I was bored at school, like from first grade up until like 11, 12, up until I started the IB. Honestly, I was just bored of school. I didn't really have that good grades even. But now, I think because I have this passion for learning, I see the benefits in it, and I see that it is fun. If you just, try to make it fun, I get better grades now because of that. And it frustrates me that as children, we're just taught to passively take in information and remember things and cram for tests, and we can still get good grades by just cramming for tests. I can't do that in the IB, because we have to reflect on the things we learn, we have to ask why, and we have exams and everything, which I think is actually a good thing. Although it stresses the fuck out of me, it's a good thing, because that means I actually have to go from that information stage to the knowledge stage. But most schools, you don't have to do that. You can just cram for things, and you can get a decent grade or a good grade if you're really good at memorizing things. So, that is why. That's why I think learning is made boring. I'm not saying that learning is boring, but for most people it is. So that's why learning is made boring. Because it's not even learning, you're just memorizing shit. You're just taking things passively in, so you get a good grade, and the people who are really good at memorizing things, they're not necessarily even reflective or that smart, are the ones that end up governing our society and continue with that system, because that's what they were good at, memorizing things, so they want other people to like them to end up governing the system. So it just goes in this vicious cycle, and I really want this to change. Like integrates, this is my suggestion, like integrate something similar to TUK, something that makes you ask why into school from an early age, because this is where your brain develops the most, from an early age. So I don't even know, like, what do you think? Like, why do you think learning is made boring? Is it because we are just taught to passively take in information and memorize it, or is it some other reason why? Like, and how can we make it more interesting? How can we teach people, make people learn that learning is good, that learning is fun, that learning is, you know, beneficial, that, you know, you get enlightened from learning. Kind of frustrating, but I want to hear your thoughts, and I want to, if it's possible, have a discussion, oh my god, on this in the comment section below. Have a nice day. Bye!